I'm Tim, welcome to Watch Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Panerai Radiomir SLC 3 days PAM 425, 47 millimeters in polished stainless steel. You can see this PAM 425 and buy it on our website, watchyouwant.com. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now you can see on my wrist 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. The watch wears big, but it fits well. It really looks the part of a vintage diving instrument, invented in the mid-1930s essentially by combining a Rolex oyster pocket watch with soldered-on wire lugs. The Panerai 3646, today known as the Radiomir, really was the father of all combat diver, tactical watches, and recreational dive watches. This example, as you can see, fits in the Panerai tradition. That is mostly a cushion case. There's not much to it besides the case, with the lugs being inspired by those original soldered-on wires. Not only do they not flare out very far beyond the case on either side, but you can see that even if my wrist were smaller, there's no reason why I couldn't just pull the strap tighter and secure it just as securely with the same amount of confidence. Now, it does have approximately 14 millimeters of thickness, but because the side of the case is so rounded and the bezel is double-stepped when you include the flare of the sapphire crystal, it's actually not difficult to get this one under a dress cuff. The elegance of the polished case with the dark dial and the simplicity of its features, not to mention those gorgeous rose gold hands at center, make this appropriate for use in formal attire. But after all, it is a Panerai, and with quick release screw-fixed wire style lugs, the watch can actually be fit to a waterproof rubber strap and submerged in 100 meters, so its sports watch credentials remain intact. Now this is the Panerai Assolutamente style strap, so very lightly treated calfskin. This is true to the style of the original combat divers. This model, released in 2012 at SIHH, is first and foremost an historical tribute, less of an interpretive Panerai general sports watch effort than a true-to-form historical reference. This is one for the purists, and that continues in the strap. You can see that it has a sort of simulated patina, lightly contrasting stitch, and as those original Panerai 1930s divers featured calfskin with wax for water resistance, very little treatment is given to the strap here to simulate that look. Now, a traditional oversized Panerai trapezoidal pin buckle is included for easy adjustment. Again, historical authenticity comes first and foremost. Now you're probably thinking, I've seen a watch that looks a lot like this, that was designed in roughly the same period and is almost identical in almost every respect. Tim, how does this differ from the PAM 449? The 449 has some significant distinguishing features that set it apart from the watch you see here. First and foremost, the 449 was a limited edition of 750 pieces. This watch was not limited, but what this has that doesn't is the S.L.C, the Siluro Lenta Corsa Frogman manned torpedo used by the Panerai equipped Decima Flottiglia commandos during the 1930s and their involvement in World War II in the 1940s. That's what gives rise to the nickname S.L.C, which you can actually see. I'm going to try to show it engraved on the Rayhaut, the inner flange of the bezel of this watch. But the S.L.C, the manned torpedo, is a distinctive feature of the 425 dial, not seen on the 449. Also not seen on the 449, which has blued hands, are these 18-karat rose gold hands. This is a rich feature that I happen to think works well with the weathered tones of the strap and the simulated radium patina dirty dial. Now this is the sticks and dots dial. Not so much representative of the mainstream of Panerai production. This is a real historic throwback to the very beginning of time, the watch known as the 2533, the prototype of the Panerai 3646, and that's where the dots and sticks design comes from. So the 449 and the 425 both feature that, but small details of the dial, like the hands and the pig at 6 o'clock, set this one apart. Now what you can't see, and that's by design, is the sapphire versus acrylic distinction. The 449 features an acrylic domed crystal, whereas the 425 features sapphire. Albeit a specially formed sapphire designed for this model, you can see the effect of that special arcing of the crystal in that it will reproduce a lot of the distortion effects of a vintage plexiglass acrylic crystal. So you get all the advantages of the charming vintage style optical distortion that you get on the 449, but you get the scratch resistance of sapphire Really, only diamond is going to routinely mar sapphire, so keep your watch away from diamond tools and diamond rings, and it's going to keep looking good for a long time. You cannot say that of the plexiglass 449. Now, on the case back, you can see the main event in both watches, the P3000 caliber. In-house by Panerai, it is a 3-day, 72-hour manual winding movement, and it's got a couple of tricks up its sleeve. First and foremost, I want to call attention to the travel time complication. A small complication, granted, but in a watch this elemental, even small refinements and complications make their presence felt. You see how I can move the hour hand independent of the minute hand fore and aft as I jump through time zones while traveling. It's that ease of adjustment. You can also move both of them in sync that makes this a practical watch for routine use. You've got everything but a date, and the historical purist will not miss that. The movement also features a robust balance, and you can see dual anchored on a full balance bridge. It has a large measure of shock resistance built in that you don't get with the single-sided cantilevered balance cock design. Now you can also see the free sprung balance. You can see the stud holder right there. This is the kind of balance that you'll find in the likes of, for example, our contemporary Rolex watch or a contemporary Omega Planet Ocean, something along those lines, where you can't simply shock the watch and accidentally move that stud holder or regulating index, changing the timing of the watch. Another feature that you'll note is aesthetically, a great deal of consideration has been given to historic Panerai movements. They were all based on Rolex pocket watch movements in the 30s, the 40s, and the 1950s. Right at the end of the line, Panerai made the jump to Angelus pocket watch movements. But the distinctive three-quarter bridge, or almost entirely bridge-covered movement, is sort of recreated with very subtle channeling between the separate bridges of the modern movement. That is there for ease of maintenance. But you can also see how the straight-grained brushing of the movement sort of recapitulates the very simple utilitarian finish on those historic pieces. This one, make no mistake, is far tougher than those were, and it's beautifully finished. There is a significant degree of improvement of the machined surfaces, from bevels along the bridges for anglage, perlage along the base plate, and because of the large spacing between the bridges and the balance bridge, you can see that perlaged engine-turned base plate quite well. Beautifully done. It's a pleasure to look at with the bare eye because it is such a large movement, or under the loupe because it does hold up under close scrutiny. Panerai gives a lot of content to all of its fans here. Those who like modern watchmaking technology are going to love the caliber P3000 and everything it brings to the table. Those who like to have a versatile watch are going to love the combination of a simple dial, a black dial, and white metal. Extremely elegant. It's also sporty enough with the ability to fit via quick removal of these screwed-on lugs. A do-it-yourself at-home swap of a rubber strap. Now you can take this 10 ATM 100-meter, 330-foot water-resistant watch in the pool. And of course, because it does have that upscale sheen of the rose gold, polished metal, and the chaste simplicity of its historically inspired dial, it looks just as good in a suit or a bathing suit. And you will too, wearing this Panerai Radiomir SLC 3 days, PAM 425. See it, and if you like, take home this historically inspired modern Panerai classic on watchyouwant.com.